USA, USA. So you can say it. You've got to focus on the economy, which is one of the things we're going to talk about today. As I mentioned, Kamala Harris, she's pro-capitalism, pro-business, pro-growth, and pro-innovation. She wants everyone to succeed in this economy. Let me end with this, Mr. Trump. I know you have so much trouble pronouncing her name. But here's the good news. After the election, you can just call her Madam President. We get up there and we just do this big bro bear hug. And I cannot tell you how many texts I got from my actual friends and actual family members like, you never hugged me like that. What's going on? You literally just met this guy.
Did you hit him on the back?
Walls pilled.
Did you hit him on the back to preserve your heteronormativity? Did you give him the back pat?
No, if you see the video, we just did this full on. And I think, he was like this, I was like this, and then it was just this bro hug. And I heard from a lot of actual friends.
All right, guys, so we got to talk about a very fascinating and hilarious story. A story that, at first, for me, it started off as a joke, a running joke on my channel, because I could not figure out for the life of me why a man would vote for Kamala Harris or to vote Democrat at all, right? And I started really thinking about it, and I just came to a conclusion that, hey, there's either one or two things going on, right? Either the man is probably not straight, considering how apparently, the GOP is supposed to be anti-LGBTQ, right? We're talking about from a policy perspective here. Democrats definitely are more pro-LGBTQ. So I can understand why a not straight man would vote for Kamala Harris or a Democrat. But what I couldn't understand is why a straight male would vote for Kamala Harris or Democrats. And then I started looking at all the Democrat men, right? I started noticing a very similar pattern of behavior amongst the male influencers that the Democrats are paying to influence male audience. And then I started paying attention to some of the top males in the Democrat Party. Like, for example, Kamala Harris's husband, Doug Emhoff, and Tim Walz, Kamala Harris's VP. And I started to notice just a very similar pattern of behavior, right? The gesticulations, the way that they carry themselves, the way that they talk, okay, the just all around vibe, right? It just seemed to be very feminine.
And that happens at the same time as the myths around America that we grew up with, that we as men are expected to be protectors and providers, are going out into an economy that doesn't really allow for that, especially for working class folks. And sort of like compounding on that, masculinity as a trope has been co-opted by the MAGA right into something that feeds into and exacerbates the loneliness epidemic, as well as the mental health crisis that many face that end up leading to really destructive behaviors. We aren't the only ones that are hurt by these things. Black and brown people, LGBTQIA plus people, especially trans women and indigenous people, and all sorts of other folks in our society who've been historically and often still today are marginalized and being hurt, demonized, and marginalized even further. So,
and then you had the mainstream liberal media. They came out and essentially admitted that, the Democrat Party, they're targeting feminine men, right? They want to redefine masculinity, right? Modern masculinity is actually people like Doug Emhoff, who you guys saw at the beginning of this video, exhibiting behaviors that don't seem to be very masculine. Very feminine to me, right? And Tim Walz, right? That is the modern day example of masculinity.
Trying to own masculinity in the most regressive, sort of misogynist way possible. J.D. Vance lecturing everybody on, what a family means, what it means to be a man. Donald Trump obviously has his own version of manhood. To see Tim Walz out there as a man who is just joyfully embracing his role as the potential vice president to the nation's first female president is an extraordinary thing. But also to see his son weeping for his father in a deeply tender and emotional way. And then the last thing I'll say, because I think this hasn't been talked about enough, to see Democrats champion men as voices on reproductive choice. Yeah. As you saw yesterday, I believe, from Amanda Zarowski's husband, tonight from Tim Walz, talking about struggles with infertility. It takes two partners to get pregnant. And for way too long, this conversation has been relegated to women or the carriers of pregnancies. And it is, I think, way overdue to have men express not only their stake in all this, but also their anguish. And to have a football coach talk about the anguish of infertility, I think opens up a whole new conversation about the stakes at hand for 2024.
And by the way, and I love that you're saying that, because this is about modern masculinity.
Yeah.
And in the Democratic Party, the coach that is saying that it's important for him as the football coach to be the faculty partner for the LGBTQ
Gay Straight Alliance.
The Gay Straight Alliance. And he's like, that's something important for me to do, because if a coach is doing it, it's going to have just a little more salience, right? And it's going to help kids not get bullied. I mean, what's really been fascinating is to watch the men of the Democratic Party model a kind of masculinity that is simply 21st century masculinity.
Speaking of 21st century masculinity, how about that? How about
that as a setup?
That'll lead in. We got Senator Cory Booker.
I'm like, who's going to be?
Who could it be? But
see how we did that?
The 21st century man himself. Yes. Senator Booker, tonight was your night as chairing the events.
Yes.
And I was just like, okay, it seems as if something's off, okay? These do not seem to be the most masculine of men. And this is not somebody trying to come at it from an alpha male perspective. I don't even like using that term. But this is actually just coming at it from a place of concern about the decline in testosterone among men in our society and how that correlates to politics and voting. Because again, I don't see why any man would vote for Kamala Harris. And it turns out that it seems as if the men that are voting for Kamala Harris, that are straight, they likely are experiencing low testosterone. I'm not joking about that, right? I'm not joking, because we got to talk about this hilarious podcast from members of NPR called This American Life. Now, I do not have the video of this recording. I wish I did. It would be absolute gold, okay? But I do have the audio, and the audio is pretty good because you can hear the voices of these men on this podcast, and it tells you everything you need to know. But they all took a testosterone test, and lo and behold, all of them had severely low levels of testosterone. And they were shocked when they got the test results showing that, we have very low levels of testosterone as men. Take a look.
One notable difference between the men and the women, although none of the women wanted to have much testosterone, Alex, Todd, and I very, very much wanted to win. Jonathan claimed he did not want to win, but none of us believe him. And Rakoff also said that he had no interest in winning at all, but then proceeded immediately to talk smack about his opponents in a very competitive way. And that was the state of things when we got our results from the lab just 2 days ago. All right, well, it is 2 days before our broadcast day as I record this. Our entire staff is on mic, plus contributors David Rakoff and Sarah Val in New York. Hello, all.
Hello. Hi.
And now for the results. I am opening the envelope. Wow, that's fascinating. Wow, that's just incredible. Okay, among the men, Rakoff is number one and has like twice the amount of testosterone of anybody in the group.
Wow.
This can't be.
I told you.
Correlation with baldness.
I voted for you, Rakoff.
Oh, everybody's trying to get in with him now that he's number one. Then in order, the men are, it's Rakoff, then Alex at number 2, then me, like a point behind you, Alex, then Jonathan, and then Todd, all very closely grouped together.
Wow, but Rakoff has twice as much.
As any of us, the gay Canadian Jew living in Manhattan.
Okay, we really have to dispense with the Canadian. But actually, that is non-corollary. Believe me.
What are the numbers exactly? What is it for? What's Rakoff and what?
Rakoff is 274. You're 144. I'm 140.
Oh my God!
When I looked at the women's results in the envelope, even though she is 7 months pregnant, Julie was on top, as we all suspected.
Well, it's hard. That's hard. It makes me feel really bossy and aggressive. And did they say that the pregnancy would affect it at all?
Alex,
she says trying to make sure you get in that whole girly pregnancy thing.
Yeah, the fact that I'm able to bear children, the greatest gift a woman can have.
I have to say, Wendy and Todd, the lowest scoring woman and man on the staff, really did not seem very happy about this whole thing by the end. Todd, like most of the men on the staff, had never been seen as especially manly during his life, but he thought maybe here in this group, compared to the rest of us, he might at least stand a chance.
Someone would be girlier than I. If I can't be the most manly in public radio, where the hell can I be the most manly? Like, I kind of wish this was Sports Center, because then I'd be okay. Like, out of all my staff members or fellow staff members at Sports Center, okay, I could be the one with the least testosterone. But in public radio,
we should get them to spit. Is it a real place? Sports Center? Is it a thing?
now, see, that's not fair. How can he have the most testosterone and not know what Sports Center is? I know what Sports Center is.
Yeah, so you're seeing that, you heard that, okay? Humiliating stuff, okay? But I think it explains a lot. It really does when it comes to the differences between how liberal men and conservative men think. I really think that it comes down to testosterone levels, right? And this plays a role in our elections because what you're seeing amongst young men who typically, have higher levels of testosterone is that they are thinking differently about the election than how women are thinking about the election in regards to the issues. For example, men actually care about things that matter, like the economy, okay? And women care about things that don't matter as much.
In 2008, 58% of young people leaned Democratic. 2012, 53%. And in the last two major election years, that percentage held steady at 55%. But in 2023, that number dipped below 50% for the first time since 2005. And you'll notice right here, they've started to lean more Republican. And that's partly because of one specific group: young men. Young men have increased their support of the Republican Party from 35% to 48%, a 13 percentage point increase in just 7 years. And this is a new trend. While 2020 exit polls show that young men backed Biden by 15 percentage points, a February 2024 Wall Street Journal poll found they favored Trump by 14 percentage points. And this loss of young male voters is a major issue for the Democratic Party going into November. The question now, can Kamala Harris bring some back? Here's what's driving young men to support Republicans and what it could mean for the presidential election to come.
When we ask young voters, what issue is most important to you when you go to cast a vote? Among young men, it's the economy. Among young women, it's abortion.
17% of men say the economy is the most important issue, followed by democracy and immigration. Whereas for young women, the top issue is abortion, by a lot.
Yeah, so all of these men like Steph Curry that come out here and talk about, I'm voting for Kamala Harris because of abortion, because of women's rights, are literally thinking like women, right? They're literally thinking like women, okay? That's what's happening. So anyways, let's read this post because, again, this post is pretty fascinating. It's a fascinating conversation. In one of the most fascinating podcasts I've ever listened to, the members of NPR's This American Life got their testosterone levels tested. All of the males had very low testosterone, some low enough doctors would recommend medication. And a trans guest talks about how taking testosterone made them suddenly interested in science. Wow. Now, he clipped this also with a study about how apparently exogenous testosterone shifts weakly associated Democrats into Republicans, right? So literally, the more manlier you become, right, the more testosterone, the more likely you are to be conservative, to be a Republican, right? But yeah, I'm just saying, anytime I see a man come out here and say they're voting for Kamala Harris, I got questions, man. I got a lot of questions. I think that this is a real thing. I really do. This guy, Austin Allred, says, I think it's highly likely that our hormones and microbiome play a much bigger role in our thoughts and decision making than we give it credit for. Yeah, absolutely. 100%. 100%. I don't think there's a coincidence that you see all these feminine men vote for Kamala Harris, right? They are either not straight or they have lower levels of testosterone. Doctors like to see men in a range of 300 to 1,000 for testosterone. The highest level at NPR was 270. Second place was 144, and there were several below that. That's crazy, crazy low. Elon Musk says wild. Yeah, it is. It is. But I think this is the problem, right? We figured out what is the issue with men in our modern society, right? They just aren't the men that their fathers were, right? I mean, that's just what it is. Okay, like literally. Not to make this political, I'm confident most Democrat men have low T. Just a pattern I'm seeing, at least in my friend circles, not cause and effect. But I wonder if they would all of a sudden become conservative libertarians or Republicans if their T levels went up. I wonder. Yeah, it's possible. It's certainly possible. This person says, I remember Paul Joseph Watson talking about an episode of the Try Guys where they all went and had their testosterone tested, and all but one of them had testosterone levels typical for an 80 to 100-year-old man, and that one guy was barely better. Sounds about right.
Results. Dun, 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 dun. I know a lot of guys look like that.
Oh, wow.
The runner-up for the most testosterone is Kippy Poo. Number one. Dun, dun, dun. It's Eugenaya. Wow. Have you seen how hairy his legs are?
I do have very hairy legs.
Yeah, those are hairy legs. Daddy. You guys ready for number three?
I don't even know.
The very sexy, the Zaddy. Don't worry, Ned.
I really thought Ned would be number one.
There's no scientific data that correlates the level of testosterone to the level of attractiveness, but certainly there's something there.
This was supposed to be my category. I'm fucked.
Yeah, me too, Zach. Me too.
Yeah, so all of those young men had levels that were pretty low, okay? And yeah, I mean, you can see from the behaviors, the mannerisms, what that results in, right? You can actually, you can see it, okay? You can observe it. Yeah, so, I'm just saying, the pattern is becoming extremely strong, okay? It really is. I just got questions. Because in the ideal world, right, this is the whole point of this video, okay? In a sane society where we had men who were like the men of yesterday, right? Were like our fathers and our grandfathers and our great-grandfathers. 80, 90% of them, maybe even 95%, would be voting Republican, right? I mean, that's just what it is. They would vote Republican the same way black women vote Democrat, right? At least a 95% clip, okay? At least. But because we're not seeing that, I think that is a reflection of the decline in testosterone among men, just generally speaking in our society. And I think that it has an effect on how men vote, how men think about the issues and what issues they care about, right? This is why you got these men out here caring about these issues. That's like, bruh, as a man, you shouldn't give a damn about these issues. You should care most about the economy, the border, safety, security, right? I mean, these are the things that men should be caring about, not abortion, okay? And I'm not saying abortion is not an important issue, but if you make it that your number one issue, yeah, that's a problem, right? That's a huge issue, okay? You're not thinking correctly, right? So, hey, let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.